I'm done playing League of Legends. I'm sorry to my fans who only watch my League videos, but please, watch my other videos instead. I put so much work into them and they're honestly way better. This isn't a joke. It's just not worth it anymore, and I don't think I'm coming back. If League is all you ever want to see on this channel, then unsub and unfollow me right now. Do not bother and harass me to play this dog shit. I tried to hang on and wait for it to get better. I did. But it looks like absolutely nothing is being addressed next season, so I give up. Actually, after looking around, I noticed that I'm far from alone here. If you pick a big league name out of a hat, there's a really good chance they're either taking an extended break or have quit altogether. Except for Tyler 1. He's not kidding. He really is built different. Everyone uses the addiction comparison, and as cliche as it is, it's actually true. Playing this game feels fucking terrible most of the time, but you're chasing that hit, you know? You're chasing the dragon. You're trying to get that perfect team where everyone's on the same page, you're all playing off of each other perfectly, and you're all having a blast. When that happens, it's still so much fun, and it feels amazing, but how often do you get that payoff? Not nearly often enough. I hate this game so much that I'm just quitting every stream 2 games in. I absolutely despise this game, like you have no idea. This isn't good for me, it's not good for you, and I have to finally admit that something needs to change. Now, how has it come to this? My god, there's just... where to even start? Strap in, boys and girls, because we're gonna be here a while. I started playing this game right when it was released, in December of 2009, I believe. Jesus Christ, I'm a boomer. I've watched it evolve for over a decade now. I've played every patch of every season. I started on Kale since she was easy to learn and could enable people who were better than me while I picked up the game. When I got a bit better, I gravitated towards Anivia. I liked her design and wanted to get good at her, since at the time she was one of the harder champions in the game. Then within like a week or two of Skyrim in November 2011, they came out with Shyvana, and the rest is history. I've played her ever since, through thick and thin. I've gotten a lot better over those years. I first hit Diamond in Season 7, and I'm teasing at Master now. I've had a taste of high elo. I've seen what D1 Master level games are like, and I fucking hate it. I have seen the top of the mountain, and it's covered in shit. The higher you climb, the less fun you have, as players learn to push advantages as ruthlessly and efficiently as possible, to the point where the very first play sets the tempo for the entire game, and it never, ever stops. Solo queue just doesn't work. No! No, it doesn't! Shame on you! First, I'm gonna talk about the game itself, and why it's slowly become one of the worst designed games on the market. Then we'll get into what effect this toxic design has had on the community. And finally, my thoughts on Riot Games as a company and why I gave up hope on any of this ever getting any better.
Oh, it's so different! Oh god, my nipples!
I think for a lot of people, the big turning point of champion design was the absolute travesties of Akali and Irelia. These two champions, despite miles-long change lists since their VGUs, still aren't in very good states. Feature after feature on these two had to be nerfed, trimmed down, or just removed entirely. Then came Zoe, the lowly who could one-shot you from an entire screen away. That was a lot of fun, wasn't it? Welcome developers, let's make a champion. But even Zoe was nothing compared to Riot's more recent nipple-tweaking designs. Now we've got Yuumi, the game-breaking barnacle who sits on your carry, presses E, makes him immune to damage, and also absolutely inescapable. Because that's fair, right? The 200-year meme was born, and it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Speaking of memes...
We don't think our champions have overloaded kits overall.
This was so unbelievably demotivating to hear, and it was a big part of why I gave up on the game. When you look at this, and compare it to this, and you don't think you have a problem? You have lost your goddamn mind. Some ancient but well-designed champions like Kennen can stand the test of time just fine, but Shyvana just can't keep up anymore. She can't do it! There's not a single challenger Shyvana main in any major region. Not one. Even Citric just gave up on her. It's not possible. I'm sick of feeling like a second-class citizen in this game, and I'm tired of getting flamed by my team for picking Shyvana, and knowing deep down that they've got a fucking point. She's been neglected for years and years and years at this point, just getting band-aid fix after band-aid fix that don't address her core issues. And it's just too unfair to tolerate any longer. In addition to just being overall better, new releases are also intensely frustrating. Look at this new fucker Akshan, right? Look at what he does to people. Does that look like fun? Does that poor mid laner look like he's enjoying the game? What about this? That's her W, by the way. Her fucking W. Or this? Or this? They're just... Oh hey, it sure would be nice if anybody took some fucking damage! Not even worried about Mickey, he's fine. Fucking Belle Delphine presses W and her... Oh, Jesus Christ, man. What is that? It's Soda Tarek all over again!
Why didn't you dodge?
Back in the day, when a champion was too strong in one area or another, that strength was nerfed to bring it back into line with the rest of the roster. Now though, Riot is determined not to nerf a champion's standout strengths, preferring to chip away at their power in other ways instead. Is level 16 Kassadin basically unbeatable? Let's just nerf his armor a little bit to make him more vulnerable to AD champions. Of course, that ended up not doing a goddamn thing, but that's another story. I understand why they think this way. I do. They want to preserve what makes a champion unique and engaging and really pop out and stand out in the game. But they haven't thought it through, and the long-term effects are starting to become extremely damaging to the game. I'm talking about the growing prevalence of Q dodging. There's been a sizable kerfluffle about this recently, with Wicked making a very popular thread and lots of people going back and forth on dodging good, dodging bad. But the fact that we're even having the discussion is a direct consequence of Riot's core design philosophy. Hard counters have become extremely abusive. If champions' strengths and weaknesses are aligned, if they're really good at doing something that you just cannot deal with, it creates a completely unplayable matchup that you would be a fool to take. Let's say you're a Tryndamere player, you get first pick, and your team's not communicating the trade. So you lock in and they instantly slam down Malphite. This is a matchup that you have a 40% chance to win in Diamond Plus. Not hitting that X button is a very, very bad decision if you care at all about climbing. You really should just take the 6 minutes and re-roll the lobby. And that's not even taking into account your other lanes. What if they're similarly screwed? What chance does that give you of winning the game as a whole? If statistically there's greater than a 90% chance of the game being completely doomed in champion select, it is absolutely crazy to play that out and expect to win. Other times you see these outrageous strengths stacked together into synergies that are so disgusting that you would rather kill yourself than take the game. Listen to this. Yuumi Ezreal, Hecarim, Kayle, Zillion. Good fucking luck. I've had plenty of 30-minute streaks trying to RNG compositions that both teams were happy to play against. Any game that is that hard to get into and play, for any reason, is not a healthy game. Yes, smart drafting should give you an advantage, but now that advantage is so great that the only winning move is not to play at all. Recognizing those situations and knowing when to hit that broken-ass X button is now a critical part of climbing in high elo. This is also only getting worse. Teemo was just buffed in a way to make him even more abusive to play against for auto-attack focused champions. I don't even want to think about how long it's going to take to get into a challenger game in a few years. Especially in a low population server like North America.
Another fight, tons of damage again. He survives, jukes the tons of damage, and gets double kill, dealing tons of damage.
You guys remember this little gem?
What? This shitty fucking game!
How many times do you feel like that in a game? I'm guessing it's a lot. Damage creep has been a huge issue in recent years. I remember when I could get caught by a Morgana binding in front of their whole team and I could still ult away with like half my life left, right? Now I'm dead before it's halfway over. League used to feel like a chess match where you had to accrue small advantages, poke back and forth, jockey for position before committing to a fight. Now you just jump on anyone who gets caught by so much as slow and take them to the sausage factory. Jace used to EQ people for like 600 with a few items, right? Enough to hurt for sure, but you could still contest objectives. Now that same Jace builds lethality, and all of a sudden he's doing over 1,000 from Fog. One small misstep and you already need to concede the objective. If you're lucky. Whoever gets caught by literally anything nowadays, tank, carry, bruiser, whatever, they just get insta-gibbed. It's not League of Legends anymore. It's just Counter-Strike. Whoever shoots first wins. One-shot wars isn't fun. It's just frustrating. Runes Reforged has been a complete disaster as far as I'm concerned, but even that pales in comparison to the damage the item rework did. Mythics are completely ridiculous compared to what we had before. Some are worse than others, worse, but all have exacerbated this problem to a ridiculous degree. We have this spurgy Roman dive meta because towers have not kept pace with all this new damage in the game. It's so easy to go in and just pop somebody before the tower can even get 2 shots off. Damage and rate of fire against champions needs to be drastically increased in the early stages of the game. This is a huge pain point for me, and I can't stand it any longer. I'm so tired of needing to use my ult to get away from a low magnitude slow or get 100 to 0'd by 2 fucking people. It's such absolute bullshit. Riot is also not thinking clearly about healing and shielding values. When they buffed Ignite to 60% heal cut, gave a bunch of champions 60% for no reason, and then put 60% on items in Season 11, on top of damage creeping through the fucking ceiling, heal champs became a lot worse, so they had to go back and buff a lot of their values. Aatrox is a good example of this. Now, if you don't have heal cut, he will literally 1v5 your team. You will never, ever, ever be able to kill him because his numbers are balanced around being reduced by 60%. Heal cut is now even more of a requirement than it used to be, at least until Soraka removes it with her fucking ultimate. Think about how many times we've seen Aphelios get poked for half his life, only to auto 2 creeps with Red Gun and get it all back instantly. Or how many times you've seen Riven yeet into 5 people, get her Sterix popped, and then Gore Drinker back to full. They did the exact same thing with shielding. They introduced Serpent's Fang, and then had to go back and buff a bunch of shield values on Scion and Shen and whatnot. So now if you're against them and you don't build this item, you're just completely screwed. Tyler 1 was being forced into building Serps on Karthus because all the numbers are bounced around being cut in half. You just have to have the item now. And now mages are getting an anti-shield item too. Guess we're buffing them all again soon. How long before we get a champion that just has 75% heal cut? Or a champ that does true healing but just ignores it? Soraka's halfway there already. What about true shielding? Or a new damage type that just goes through shields? That's the direction we're going in. This shit just keeps getting more convoluted and messy. Doublelift made this point on stream, and he was absolutely right. If you just nerfed all the damage in the game, all of the outrageous sustain that was made to counter it will make it so nobody ever dies again. So if they ever get their heads out of their asses and decide to make the game fun again, they've got to simultaneously and proportionally nerf all of that too. That's not going to be easy to do. If you ask me, heal and shield cut and the associated numbers should be balanced around a 33% reduction. You know, not an absolute necessity to have, but still very desirable into certain compositions. You would actually have to look at the enemy champions and make a judgment call instead of just saying, oh, they have some healing, guess I better build heal cut or they're never gonna die. Then you would actually have to look at the list of enemy champions and make a judgment call, rather than just identify healing and shielding and knowing you have to build these items or they're just never going to die. But what do I know? I don't have 200 years of experience. And all of this culminates into making Snowball the worst it's ever been. This is the big one. This is the root of all evil. Picture this scenario. You're a top laner in a bad matchup. You know you have to win early or not at all. So you win some early trades and you go for an all-in. Their jungler knows this, and he just happens to be waiting in a lane bush. You miss the kill by 1 auto, with the wave slow pushing into you. You TP back to lane, but in that time, your mid laner's been shoved in, and you get 3-man dived. Now you lose a triple stacked wave. Now the wave is slow pushing back, and you get frozen on. Your jungler has rightly given up on your lane and is trying to cross map instead. Maybe he's even successful. But in the meantime, you go down 2 levels, and hundreds of gold. Then their jungler takes Herald, dives your ass again, and eats your entire turret. You did nothing wrong. Every decision you've made in this game has been completely defensible, but you're down 4,000 gold anyway. The only thing you can do to try and get back in the game is to freeze at your tier 2, but while you're doing that, your team gets smashed 5v4, loses drakes, loses turrets, and flames the shit out of you for top gap, despite the fact that you did literally nothing wrong. How the hell is that even possible? No wonder they're all fucking crazy.
Let's not mention that I didn't even get to play this fucking game because there's nothing but their jungler ganking me, and the reason he can do that is the jungle never fucking respawns. Takes 2 fucking hours for the jungle to respawn, so what do? They just spend the entire fucking game re-ganking top lane. But of course your jungler half the time is a piece of fucking shit like this Shyvana. So they spend the entire game jerking off the AD carries, sitting down bot lane while I sit up top lane, never even getting to touch a minion wave, never get to do anything.
On top of being denied so many resources, they get an extra 1,000 gold from your turret to get their OP first item faster, just in case you thought you had a chance to weather the storm. Plates are a nice addition in the event you can't kill your lane opponent to reward you for forcing them out of lane, but 160 times 5 is just way too much money in a world where first item power spikes are so powerful. This is such a ridiculous swing off of one early play that it actually boggles the mind. In order to stop this from happening, you need help from your team, but you can't count on that in a disorganized setting. You need to have everyone on the same page and communicating. You need voice comms. You don't have time to type all this shit out. The thing is, once you fall behind even a little bit, you're just doomed. Your team no longer wins even engagements on that side of the map. It's not worth it to commit more than even resources to bail you out, unless the entire rest of the map is getting smashed. You're just permanently weak side. So the game just becomes extremely lopsided, to where you might be 0-6, but their bot lane's 0-10, and 3 people in the game are completely fucking miserable. And you'd better believe that all 3 of you are gonna take that into your next games and pay it forward. What about this? Your jungle. Your bot lane overextends and gives Xin Zhao a double kill before you're done with your second buff. Their bot lane is Yuumi Ezreal. Yuumi sits on the Xin for the entire game, hunting you down in your own jungle, preventing you from even thinking about playing the fucking game! Meanwhile, Ezreal is safely free farming under turret without a care in the world. All of your lanes are getting shoved in, and nobody is rotating to help you. The game is actually over before Drake spawns. It's checkmate at 4 minutes. There's no scaling your way out of this. You're gonna be 4 levels down and 2.5 items because he's permanently clearing your camps and there's nothing you can fucking do about it. I certainly wouldn't have any idea what that feels like, but it sounds fucking terrible. How is that possible? How is that fun? This is crucial. The game incentivizes you to bully the weakest target. Getting less gold and less experience per repeat kill is in no way a disincentive when you realize that the real value of a kill is what you're denying to your opponent, not what you're getting out of it yourself. Even if you got no resources at all from killing an 0-3 player, it would still be worth it to pick on him because it prevents him from getting back into the game, setting up for an easy 4 versus 5 victory. This needs to change! This game can shit on you so unbelievably hard in 2021 that it's absolutely no wonder why people are getting more and more deranged by the day. I can't believe I'm actually about to say this, but if this is the way the game's gonna be, we need FF10, and they need to remove hostage taking while they're at it. If 4 people want to quit at 5 minutes, you're done anyway. That's how much the game's accelerated. And once you get to the teamfight phase in the absolute state of this game, all it takes is one guy to get caught by something, get exploded, and the entire rest of your team gets run down by the damage creep, the mobility creep, and the bullshit creep in this satanic ritual of a goddamn video game. You all die with the idiot, and there's nothing you can do about it. Before you can even realize that it's a lost fight, you're all already dead. Omae wa mu shinderu. A modern teamfight very rarely resembles a chess match or a problem-solving exercise. It's just a row of dominoes. One guy's stupid mistake kills the entire team, and if the game wasn't over before, you'd better believe it's over now. What the fuck is going on? Alright, so we've established how abusive the game's become, right? But we haven't even talked about what happens when you force people into off-rolling in this environment. It goes poorly. Very poorly. A lot of the time, the winning team is just down to autofill gap. Literal RNG. I've started to realize that to have any decent shot at winning, I have to look at my teammates in lobby. I've spotted 3 other jungle mains on my team before. 3. Fucking 3. And you know what? I can't be asked anymore. Riot said they wanted to have fill parity in games. I have no idea if they have ever managed to do that or not, but they certainly didn't do it by role. This makes games even more lopsided and frustrating than they already are. In such a ruthless and abusive game, you have to know what you're doing or you sink the entire team. It takes enough time and effort to learn one role in this game at a high level. Expecting people to know how to hold their own in 5 when recovery is a fever dream is unreasonable. Fill ruins games, and it ruins a lot of them. On top of that, I'm pretty sure that winners and losers queue are more than just myths. If Riot had data suggesting that streaks make people play for longer, you'd better believe that they'd code their matchmaker to produce streaks. We can't know for sure, but I think this sort of thing happens too regularly to be entirely coincidental. It really feels like the game just sets you up to lose some days. It's incredibly demotivating. If losers queue is indeed real, that shit needs to go away. If it creates more playtime or whatever, I promise you it's not worth the cost to people's sanity. Eventually, we'll all have enough.
You want the opportunity to do a little bit more damage?
I'd like the opportunity to play League of Legends.
If I had to summarize League's current meta in one blurb, it would be creating unfair advantages. This is literally the jungler's role on the team, and has been since release, to be fair. But increasingly, it's the support's role too, and mid lanes once they start generating pressure. And even top lanes if they have TP advantage. Pretty much the only role nowadays that isn't supposed to run around and gang up on people is the goddamn AD carry. This is not fun. This is the opposite of fun. This is fucking cancer. For the guy being gangbanged, it's fucking miserable. As long as they go in together, no outplay is possible. Once the jaws close, there is no escape. Your turret may as well not exist for all the good it does you, and your entire game is probably already doomed. We all know how impossibly frustrating this is. And for the Goon Squad, it's fucking boring. It's like, well, it's 3-on-1, I guess he's dead, huh? You didn't gain an individual advantage and translate that into taking an objective. You ganged up on a man and took his fucking lunch money. You're literally bullies. It's not satisfying, and it just feels cheap. Remember this?
Stalking through the Super Hot Crew jungle, Airwax gonna clear himself out a ward on that bottom side. They've got Counted pushing the lane. It would have killed him, but also kind of being a problem for him as he large rod and his fiendish codex.
I think Riot is so terrified of ever going back to this that they're willing to sacrifice the greater game in order to ensure that competitive is fun to watch. The surest way to make kills happen when everyone's really good at the game is to give them enough damage to pop each other in the blink of an eye. But the thing is, it's not working. Worlds kinda sucks this year. Damwon is so far ahead of every other team because they understand how to rotate, and once they do, there's no way back into the game. Their rotations are absolutely filthy. The game is not designed to allow for comebacks if the winning team doesn't throw, and they're just too good to do that. Every quarterfinal was a clean 3-0 predictable stomp, with the exception of RNG EDG, but that was more of a spam this Ross if both teams deserve the loss type of scenario, let's be honest. These stompy games have no drama, and they suck to watch. There's no tension when the game is decided in the first 15 minutes. Oh hey, Damwon built another 3k lead at 15, wonder who's gonna win this one. I just turned off C9 versus Gen G because I saw how wide the gap was, and lo and behold, I was right to give up on them. The way the brackets are set up this year, Damwon T1 is going to be the only good game in the entire tournament. And what a shame that is, man. Perhaps competitive and regular play just needs to behave differently. They're very clearly not the same game. Why pretend otherwise? If you want exciting dives, just nerf turrets and competitive and let the rest of us get to level 6 without getting shit on by a 4-man Goon Squad. Give them a 10% damage buff and let the rest of us survive more than one spell in the team fight. I don't really want that to happen. It's cool that we play the same game that we see on stage. But if that's what it takes to get Riot to do something about this and have a functional solo queue again, then I guess it's worth it. So after going into all of that, remember when Donkey said that the root of toxicity is the game? That it's not fun and it pisses people off? Truer words were never spoken. I want to be very clear about this. The game is why people are dicks. League of Legends is uniquely bad among online communities. That doesn't make any sense unless the game itself has something to do with it. You cannot fix the people until you fix the game. League of Legends, as it currently exists, is a misery generator. It is designed to be so punishing as to make its players absolutely hopeless. Players are responding to that, and they're acting out how they feel about the game. If Riot cracks down on behavior without fixing the game, then they've done nothing. People will either buy a new botted account for $5, or they will quit altogether and finally kill the game. Fixing the game comes first. Once that happens, we can talk about...
Feed. Run to that turret. Run to that turret. Run to that turret. Oh, he's stopping. Let's go, baby! Let's go!
This is my ticket list. We've got sold items, Hardened, AFK, Racist, Rage Split, Kill Yourself, Griefer, AFK, Splitter, Kill Yourself, AFK, Hardened, Hard Grief, AFK Type Racer, Hardened. It just goes on and on and on and on. I have to do this, or none of them will ever get punished because the auto-detection systems in this game are an absolute joke. If I'm being totally honest, I'm not even sure how you would detect it in a game that allows you to get ganged up on and buried under an avalanche. But look at the frequency here. Pretty much every other day I try to play this game, somebody needs to be ticketed. Something like 10% of my games over the last month have had someone in them who needs to be looked at. And I found that I have to actually go back and look these degenerates up later and harass the support agents to actually get something to happen. It's worse than it ever has been. It just is. And I think it's a direct consequence of how much the game's accelerated over the last couple of seasons. What other game have you ever played that makes people not want to play so quickly? Think about that. Players ostensibly queue up to win and get nerd points, but they give up well before Baron even spawns. When you're losing, you don't want to win anymore. You just want out. You want out because you know that the game is out of your hands, and unless they throw, you cannot win. And you're fucking right. This manifests in the behaviors that we all know and love. autopilot, AFK, inting, selling items, bush sitting, rage splitting. The takeaway is that the chance of coming back in League of Legends is so small that it's not worth suffering for. It does not feel good enough to offset how it feels to be behind in this game. That's what people are saying.
Fucking worthless, brain-dead, scumfuck bastard, pile of trash, mental dick face that should be...
And when people do still want to play and things go bad, they always make damn sure to let you know. Now this has always been bad, but dear God, people are on a fucking hair trigger now. Now I don't really give a damn about Flame. I'll report the shit out of you if you piss me off, but if you ask me the next day, I don't think you should be banned for it. At least unless you drop to kill yourself or something, you know? But it's the same phenomenon at work, right? People think the game is doomed, so they may as well let you know that you ruined it before it ends. You fix the game, you fix the chat. Or at least you go a long way towards doing so. Wait a minute, weren't we already supposed to have a system for this? The honor system as it exists today is utter garbage. Exactly how it works is a total mystery, but my impression is you go up a checkpoint every 10 days or so regardless of how many games you played and regardless of how many times you actually got honored. Honor is not a measure of how positive you are in your games. Honor is only a measure of how long it's been since the automated chatbot has taken a look at your messages. Which, by the way, must have a significant element of probability to it, because I know firsthand that you can flame for months and months on end and to never get punished. I've been Honor 5 telling people they deserve cancer on the regular. My bad. But anyway, if the impossible happens and you do get yourself a dream team, only being able to reward one of them fucking sucks. If an enemy was really funny in all chat and made you laugh, sorry, honorable opponent's been gone for years. We don't care about sportsmanship here at Riot Games. And yes, I know the Koreans turned it into a badge of shame, but screw them. They shouldn't be the reason that we get these little feel-good moments taken away from us, because they matter. The little things matter, damn it. If your system is intentionally obfuscated because you don't want people gaming the system or whatever, then you haven't done anything clever. People are just not gonna care about participating in it. Especially if the rewards are shit. I have close to 100 completely useless keys on both accounts, and I don't play Twitch or Warwick. Why would I give two shits about ranking up my honor orbs? And for people who do like to play different stuff, you get plenty of keys to open those boxes as long as you don't get punished. There is no real positive reinforcement in this system, only extremely inconsistent negative reinforcement. As such, it's a completely broken and non-functional system. How about we have 3 buttons next to people in postgame, right? One reports for griefing, you know, serious shit that needs to be looked at by a human being. And then behavior-wise, if they were cool, you've got an honor button, and if they were a dick, you've got a demerit button. You can have a ratio of like 10 honors equals 1 demerit or something like that, right? And then you just make a simple bar and have people see exactly where they are between honor 2 and honor 3, for example. No more of this vague checkpoint nonsense. So if you were a complete dick to your team one game and you got like 3 demerits and see your honor level tank, you have real-time useful feedback to adjust your behavior. It doesn't just pile up on you and you get heavily penalized out of the blue like you do now. If you were a truly exceptional piece of shit, you could get like 9 demerits in a single game, right? Because your enemies could do it too. So you'd be pretty worried about attracting that much attention to yourself in the chat box. Then you could just directly tie restrictions and punishments to having low honor. To stop misuse of the system, you could limit people to like 3 or so demerits per day, so you don't want to give them out liberally to people on your team who just had a bad game, you want to save them for people who really deserve them, right? If your target filed a support appeal and you were found to have misused a demerit, then you can get heavy action taken against you, including exclusion from the entire system. What about gamifying it? Make a ladder, make positivity competitive. Maybe you're a Gold 2 support player, but you're a challenger level human being. Riot did just say that they want to add more systems and opportunities for you to express yourself in the game, right? This seems like a great way to kill 2 birds at 1 stone. And just like that, I've created a better behavior system in 5 minutes than a $1 billion company has in 5 years.
Pathetic.
Utterly pathetic. They should be ashamed of themselves. Lazy bastards, man. So that's a lot of problems. Holy shit, that's a lot of problems. What's Riot doing about them?
The second dragon joining the party is Hextech's darker sibling, the Chemtech Drake. This dragon soul provides a second chance at life. Well, sort of. When you die, you'll enter a zombie state, where you can still cast abilities and continue fighting when you'd normally be looking at a gray screen.
Not a goddamn thing. They are so out of touch that most of the time, they refuse to even acknowledge that they have a problem.
We don't think our champions have overloaded kids.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Well, one little thing, I guess. They are experimenting with objective bounties next season, but that's just gonna be a drop in the bucket compared to everything that I've outlined in this video. And in the case where they do admit they have a problem, they oftentimes put forward the laziest and most ineffective solution possible. People are toxic, so remove all chat instead of overhauling honor. People are dodging too much, so increase the fake penalties instead of addressing why they're hitting the X button to begin with. Let me tell you a story about this. In Season 9, I pioneered shyvana mid with Smite. Back then, jungle was very much a low econ gank-focused role. Things like Jarvan and Rek'Sai were meta, right? So I figured that since other champions were just so much better at that, I may as well just stick shyvana in the mid lane and pretend that I'm Kassadin. So I did, and after a while, I realized that Smite was actually still a really strong laning tool. I'd start a pink ward and smite the chicken over the wall for sustain until I could get my runic echoes. Combined with triple rejuvenation beads, this made me pretty much immovable from the mid lane, and I was able to maintain farm parity against champions like Orianna. Runic Echoes was an intentionally over-budgeted item that gave a huge amount of wave clear, burst, wave control, the jungle passives, a ton of stuff, right? All of which shyvana absolutely loves to have. Not to mention the extra objective control of having 2 smites on the team, combined with her passive and the new drakes. Once you had your Runic Echoes, you could look to all in with blue smite and take control of the lane. And you know what? It actually worked. It worked really well. I got to Diamond 1 playing it, ladder rank 4000, the highest I've ever been. I loved my build, I loved my strategy, and I loved the game. And then Riot took it away from me. Funnel Yi became a problem, a really big one. And then pros figured out how to funnel in competitive. I remember watching Perks get funneled half the map on Xayah and Kai'Sa and thinking that something had to change. And it did. The funnel nerf started off at 14 minutes. It wasn't too bad, I just had to buy boots first, I could still do my thing. But funnel endured, and they changed it to 20. It was now no longer worth sitting on baby smite for that long, and my build was dead. And do you know what really sucked? It didn't even kill funnel. Funnel was so game-breaking that people were still finding success with it with a 20-minute minion debuff. After all that, they were finally forced to destroy the Alpha Strike Dazzle interaction because it was that much of a resilient cockroach of a strategy. I hated funnel so much that I would have been willing to trade. I would have happily made the sacrifice if only it had actually done what it was supposed to do. But it didn't. One day, I was in Riot's August stream, and I told him how I felt about all of this. And you know what he said? You shouldn't be playing Smite mid anyway. He didn't give a fuck about the off-target effects of a change that didn't even hit the mark. That's the kind of developer we're dealing with on the League team. This is who they are, to a T. This stupid-ass, low-resolution solution is still in the game today. I get pissed off whenever I see +1 on my screen. If all of my lanes are getting smashed and I have to catch a bunch of waves, I'm punished for that. If my top laner DCs and I'm stuck top for 5 minutes, I'm punished and we're less likely to come back. All because Riot was too lazy to fix the fucking problem properly. The sheer size of the game is also starting to stifle innovation. Riot's admitted that the reason why they don't make new game modes anymore is because those new modes have to work for 150 plus champions. Any new ideas that they have, in order for them to be worth it, have to have an absolutely massive play rate, and Summoner's Rift is just too much of a juggernaut for anything like that to even challenge. They've already removed Dominion and Twisted Treeline, and we'll never get anything like that ever again. The bugs in this game keep piling up, and they just cannot keep pace with them anymore.
Right through the Counter-Strike! Oh, I fucking love it!
Hail of Blades in Dragonform is still broken nearly 2 years later, and Press the Attack is still unreliable in Dragonform. The game is collapsing under its own weight like a dying star. They desperately need to stop with all this new shit and put some real work into the game's foundations. If they don't, the entire thing is gonna come crashing down like the Tower of Babel. There is a universe in which all this can be fixed. As bad as it is, it's not insurmountable, but I just don't think it's this one. It seems like all of Riot's really talented designers, the ones that give a damn and know what they're doing, have all been shuffled off to other projects. What Mort is doing with TFT, for example, is fantastic. It's a really fun, chill game that's got a low skill floor and a high skill ceiling. It's really well designed, and major balance issues are typically addressed within a patch. He does patch rundowns and retrospectives on his YouTube, he streams a lot, he's really good at the game, he answers questions, he's approachable. He's basically one level below Yoshi P. Riot Mort is what every game developer should strive to be. Why can't League have someone like that? Like, compare that to what we have, right? Is it any wonder things are as bad as they are when one of the lead producers is a Bronze 3 ARAM goblin? Legends of Runeterra also kicks the shit out of Hearthstone, and you can really tell how much the team cares about making a quality product. Those level up animations are absolutely beautiful, and there's a ton of play and counterplay back and forth opportunities within the game. It's also very generous with free deck building, a fatal flaw that almost every other card game has. Even Wild Rift has a lot of love put into it. They completely redo bad skins, every skin's got a badass showcase page, there's actual balancing, and there's a real effort to bring old champions up to date. The game that started it all just feels completely abandoned by comparison, you know? Do they actually care about it at all anymore, or is it just a cash cow to fund things they actually want to create? I think we all know the answer. So, as you've gathered, a lot would need to change to get me to look at this dog shit ever again. So, let's do a quick TLDR rundown. First, we need fundamental changes to the game to make people actually want to play the matches out. All damage and sustain values across the board needs to be reduced by like 15% at least. Turrets need to actually deter being dived from full health in the first 10 minutes of the game. Herald needs to be either removed, reworked, or just spawn later. Plates need to be worth less, Baron needs to be harder to take. In general, falling behind should not feel so bad that it makes you want to quit the fucking game. Once the game is less toxic and punishing, the community needs to be brought into line. With luck, most of this will take care of itself once people are allowed to have fun again. Game-ruining behavior needs to become an absolute rarity. It needs to be gone after with a bloody vengeance. Way too many people seem to think that they can just click around in base, or sell their items, or rage split, or walk into 5 people and type oops in chat and never get banned for it. Particularly high elo. Riot needs to hire dedicated people to police high MMR. Enough money comes from competitive play that it more than justifies giving pros the best practice environment possible. Making it harder to avalanche over people would also make it easier to detect griefing, since there would no longer be any legitimate reason to be 0-10 in 15 minutes. Behavior-wise, there really needs to be a clear and rewarding honor system to actually reward positivity, like the one I described. Lastly, Riot needs to have Mort do an internal seminar on how to be a really badass game director, and find somebody to do that for League. Meddler and Bronzemoon need to be fired and demoted, along with probably most of the live design team. Drastic change is needed for me to have any optimism in this game's direction going forward. So, where are we gonna go from here? I don't really know, to be honest. There are a lot of great games out there, and they all deserve my time more than this one. From now on, I want to spend my time getting good at a good game, not a bad one. I want to create content for developers who deserve the effort, not out-of-touch lunatics who ignore their problems. I want to be happy, not miserable. I may continue to watch playoffs and Worlds with you all, I may continue to make patch rundowns and laugh at Riot from the outside looking in. But as far as actually playing the game goes, I might do a few from time to time for old time's sake. I might check out EU West, see if that's a better environment, but I'm done taking it seriously. I'm done grinding to climb, and I'm done streaming it. The only way to play the game as it is now and keep your sanity is in very, very short bursts. It's not fucking worth it. So, on to better days and new horizons. May you be blessed. See ya.
Remember. Remember us. Remember that we once lived.